Fine, good morning to you all students. Hi students, how are you? I hope you all are fine and you all are doing well. I hope by God's grace you all are safe. Students, pray to God for your health, your studies, your parents and everything. Okay. So welcome to our today's online class students. So today's online class subject is computer science. So this period I am going to take class about computer science. Okay. So now we are studying about chapter 1. Isn't it? So lot of things you have studied in the chapter 1. So what's the title of our chapter, students? So title of our chapter is Introduction to Computers. Isn't it? So what are the things you have studied in this chapter? Okay, so before I'm going to start about today's portion, so just recall what are the things I have taught in this chapter and what are things you have studied in this chapter. Okay, so today I am going to talk about two output devices as well as one more topic, booting of a computer. Okay, so before that we can recall, so what are the important questions you have studied in this chapter. Okay, so almost I'm completed this chapter. Only two more topics is left. So you should know which are the important questions. So which are the expected questions for your annual exam. So from which portions they will ask this and that. Okay. So once more I am telling students, please listen carefully. Okay. So please watch the online class, students. Don't waste time. So this is the basement for your PG courses. UG as well as PG courses, this is the basement subject for you. So listen carefully. Okay. So what are the important questions you are studying? So generations of computer. Very important. 5-mark question as well as a expected question. Okay. That's important 5-mark question. Then functional components of computer. Expected 5-mark question. Okay. So what are the questions I am telling? Please note it down, students, because these questions belongs to years they have continuously asking. Okay. Okay. Then important 2-mark question is define computer. Then define data and information. Okay. Then input and output devices you have studied. So they will ask, say, name some 3 input devices or name some 3 output devices. Otherwise separately they will give the particular name. For example, define keyboard or define mouse. Okay. Mouse also important question. So 3 kinds of mouse you have studied. Okay. Then in the input device, printer is very important, expected 5-mark question. Okay, students. Okay, so today you are going to study about 2 more output device. Okay, so what's the next output device? Speaker. So each and every students, you might have seen speakers in your home theater speakers, isn't it? So what's the use of speaker? What's the use of speaker? Normally I am asking. So simply if I asked any student to say about speaker, means the student will say the use of speaker is to display the, or it will give voice output, isn't it? So it will, by if you need to hear a sound louder, means you need to connect the speaker. This and a lot of things he will say as a story, isn't it? So each and every student will know this what's the use of speaker. Once again I am telling what's the use of speaker. Okay. So whether this is an input device or output device, just think it and say. Input device means always you need to give some input, isn't it? Only that device will accept the input alone. Output device means it will get the input, based on that it will give the output at the same time. So speaker is an input device or output device, think it and say. It's an output device, exactly, isn't it? So because it will take the your input voice, whatever you are speaking or whatever you are giving as a input, maybe it's a song or video or anything, so it will take us a input, particular thing, it will give us a what? Output. Okay, so how you are getting the same thing as a output? Now you are studying about speakers connected to the computer. See the picture of the speaker. Okay, see below two the speakers are there now. That's a picture of speaker. Okay, the speaker at the back pins are there. So that pins you need to connect to the computer or your LED TV or any TVs. Okay, so whatever you are playing, maybe it's an audio file or a video file or whatever you are speaking. Okay, so that it will convert into a some voice louder, that is using speech synthesis software. Important one more question. See the second line. See the second line, using speaker along with speech synthesis software. Okay, so using the speech synthesis software, the speaker will convert your sound as a voice input into a output, and you can hear your voice as a much louder. Understood? So mostly which are the places you are going to use this kind of speakers? So which are the places means you might have, mostly you can hear this and all used in schools. So our schools also speaker is there. So assembly you can hear the voice using speaker. Then railway stations you might have seen, isn't it? They are oftenly they used to announce in the speaker. Then in hospitals or in airlines, etc., etc. Lot of places you are using the speaker. Understood, students? What's the use of speaker? Okay. So next output device is a multimedia projector. Okay. So what do you mean by multimedia projector? So projector. So no need to search anywhere, projector. So our school also, each and every class a projector will be there. Have you seen your class at the top they have connected the projector along with smart board? Yes, isn't it? So each and every student might have seen the projector in your classroom itself. So what's the use of that projector, students? So using that projector, you can able to see whatever you are typing or whatever in the computer. So as it is, you can able to see in the screen as a big screen or a big output. Isn't it? That's the use of projector. Okay. So what's the use of multimedia projector? Mainly used to produce the computer output. So whatever, maybe it's a movie or a video or an image or a picture or whatever, maybe or a animated thing, whatever you are that displaying in the computer, it will automatically display to where in the screen, as a big screen. So that output is given by which device? Multimedia projector. Okay, so mostly where they are using these projectors, mostly if the particular in movies and all you might have seen. Okay, so movies you might have seen as a whole, or in a particular company the group discussion is going on, or a company the GM manager will conduct a meeting. So using which device they will conduct? So particular thing need to display on the screen means which device they used to? Using projector. Have you seen that one in movies and all? Yes. So that's the use of projector. Mainly they will conduct meetings using this projector or in a classrooms. Understood? Okay. So this is the image of that projector. Okay, this is the image of projector. Okay, so see at the front part of the projector a light is coming outside. Have you seen it? Okay, so using that flashlight only, so whatever thing it is taken as the input from the computer, it will be flashed in the screen in the opposite side. Maybe it's a board or a wall or anything. Using big screen, it will flash. Understood? So two output device you have studied. What are they today? Speaker as well as projector. Okay. So next topic you are going to study is booting of a computer. What do you mean by booting? This is a very important thing. Very important expected question. Booting of a computer. So what is called booting? Okay. So for this topic you should know a topic called operating system. So what do you mean by operating system? So operating system topics and all you will study later in the third or fourth chapters. Okay. So operating system is a very basic software. For example, you have mobile phones in your hand, isn't it? So mobile phone you might have known lot of softwares. Android, that and all mobile OS. So have you seen in the mobile phone at the front one screen will be there. That's a software or OS, operating system. That's a mobile operating system. Likewise in a computer also an operating system is there. If you are owning the computer you might have seen at the front page a desktop. We can call as desktop. Okay, so that software, what operating system you are installing, that will be displayed on the desktop. Maybe it's a Windows XP or Windows 7, Windows 8 or Windows 10. So whatever, this and all examples of operating system. Okay, so if you need to work all the software properly means you should install the operating system in your computer. Understood? So this operating system is a very basic software which make the computer works properly. Okay, so that's the operating system. So now only you are coming our topic booting. So listen, first you are going to switch on your computer. Okay, first you are going to switch on your computer. Okay, so once you switch on the computer at that time, so already you have studied about RAM. I've studied two types of memory. Are you remembering? Primary memory and secondary memory. So RAM is the example of main memory. You might have studied, isn't it? So when you are going to switch on the computer, immediately at that time, there is no information or no data or nothing will be there in the RAM or in the device RAM. Okay, but at the same time, another one device called ROM. What's the difference between RAM and ROM? RAM means random access memory. ROM means readable memory. Okay, read only memory. Okay, so at the ROM, that device, a pre-written. What do you mean by pre-written? So pre-written means once you are buying the computer itself, some program will be written or preloaded in the device itself. Okay, so likewise the device ROM is called, that device will be pre-written, contain one pre-written program called POST. Important 1 mark question, please note it down. Okay, ROM contain a pre-written program called dash. Important 1 mark question, post, that is power on self-test. So immediately when you switch on the computer, this program will execute at the first. So listen carefully, when you are going to switch on the computer, at that starting stage there is no information on the RAM. So at the same time in the ROM, already a preloaded program is there. Okay, that program called POST, power on self-test, that will execute it at first. So what's the use of this power on self-test? So what's the use mean? So this program will check. So what are the devices are connected to the computer? Maybe it's a keyboard or monitor or projector or printer, RAM, hard disk, motherboard, etc. etc. Lot of devices are connected to the computer. So what are the devices are connected to the computer? So it will check whether all the devices are connected properly or all the devices are ready to operate properly. That's the use of this, which one? Post. Understood? So this process we are calling as an BIOS, BIOS, basic input output system. Understood what's the meaning of this one, BIOS? So when you are switching the computer, the program, what's the program? Bootstrap loader. That program will check whether all the devices are connected to the system properly. So if the system is connected to the properly, means it will give information, yes, it is connected properly, are ready to work. So this we are calling as an what? BIOS, BIOS, basic input output system. So the entire process we are called as what? Booting. Understood now what do you mean by booting? So once again you tell like a story. When you are going to switch on the computer, there is no information in where? RAM. At the same time, a device ROMs contain a pre-written program called what? POST, that is power on self-test. So what's the use of that one? It will check whether all the devices are working properly or operate properly. So this process is called what? BIOS, and the entire process we are calling as an what? Booting. Understood? Very important 3 mark question, mostly expected question this one. Booting. Okay. So listen. Then after a booting, okay, a bootstrap loader. Another program called which one? Bootstrap loader. So this bootstrap loader will transfer all the information from that OS from hard disk into memory. So when you are going to switch on the computer. Okay. So at that time, after switch on the computer, a program called which one? Bootstrap loader. This program will transfer information from where to where? Hard disk into a memory. What are the informations are present in hard disk? It will transfer into what? Main memory. This is done by what? OS. Okay. After that, the OS will execute it faster. After the booting only, the OS will execute part. Okay. So there are two types of bootings. Very important 2 mark question. How many types of bootings are there? 2 types. What are they? Cold booting as well as warm booting. Now you are going to study these 2 types of booting detail. Okay. First one is cold booting. So what do you mean by cold booting? Means this and all very important questions. Define booting, types of booting, then define cold booting, define warm booting. Very important 2 mark and 3 mark question, 1 mark question they will ask from inside. Okay. So what do you mean by cold booting? Mean when you are going to switch on the computer. At the starting, Okay, starting you are going to switch on the computer. That's initial state. We can call as what? Starting state or initial state. So that booting is called what? Cold booting or hot booting. What's the other name of cold booting? Hot booting. Okay, so already you have studied when you are going to switch on the computer, there is no information in where? In the RAM, isn't it? But at the ROM, a pre-written program will execute, isn't it? So when your user is pressing the power button, so what are the informations are there in the ROM will give what information for what? Booting the process. Understood what do you mean by cold booting? When you are going to on the system at the starting state, that booting is called which booting? Cold booting or hot booting. What do you mean when we are going to see this cold booting or hot booting? When the user is going to press the power button. So all the instructions is ready to read from where to where ROM to initiate the process. Understood? Okay. Last type of booting is warm booting. So what do you mean by warm booting means? When you are going to restart the system. What do you mean by restart? Once again you are going to start the system. Okay, when you are going to restart the system, so at that time you need to press the reset button. Okay, in a system reset button is there. So when you need to press which button? Reset button. So that type of booting is called warm booting or soft booting. Okay, so what do you mean by warm booting? When you are going to restart the button, when you are going to press the restart the button, so at that time that booting we are calling as which booting? Warm booting or soft booting. So in this stage, that is very important point, the system will not start from a starting stage. For example, you are already switch on the system, you are using the system for 1 hour, suddenly the power went off, then again you are going to restart the system. So you are when you are pressing the reset button, so system will not that start from the initial stage. Understood? So initial stage, what are things it will check? That BIOS will check whether all the devices are connected properly, ready to operate, isn't it? So at this restart button is pressed, the system will not go to the initial stage. Understood? That is very important part. So but what's the disadvantage means? Sometimes you are typing something, forget to save the file, immediately the power went off. So what are the things you are type? You are not saving the file means there is a chance for data loss. That means you will lose the file or lose the file. That's a disadvantage of warm booting. Understood? So what are the things you have studied today? So what are things you have studied today? Output device. What are the output device? Speaker, multimedia projector, then booting. What are the important questions I said? Define booting, then types of booting, then warm booting as well as cold booting. Very important question, students. So this chapter get over. Chapter 1 get over. Okay, students. So you didn't get the textbook, I know. So please, while I am taking the class itself, take notes for. So today you need to write booting. Define booting you need to write. Types of booting you need to write. Then warm booting you need to write. Cold booting you need to write. Then projector and speaker just once you read. That's all. Okay, so after completion of this this session, students, please, you need to study what are the questions I said. So the first chapter over. So what are the important questions I said? So please study, students. Don't waste time. Thank you, students. Take care.